The scent of sterilized steel and recycled air clung to Vasari Prime like a second skin. Commander Eli Voss leaned against the cold bulkhead, watching the Zarati delegation glide into the diplomatic hall. Regal, calculated, and aloof, they moved like shadows, their obsidian robes brushing the floor in absolute silence. At their head was Lady Viraya Soluan, envoy, enforcer, and executioner, depending on the day. She didn't walk. She stalked. Eli adjusted the collar of his uniform, the stiff fabric brushing against the patch that hid the thing he could never let anyone see. Not even his own command staff knew. It was safer that way. Especially now. The ceasefire was a political fiction, held together by thin speeches and threats of mutual extinction. The smallest spark could ignite a fresh war, and Eli had been assigned to keep that spark from ever landing. His eyes followed Viraya as she passed, her green skin catching the overhead light like jade in flame. Her eyes, gold-ringed and slitted, met his. She smiled. Cold. Icy. Commander Voss, she said, stopping inches from him. Still standing watch like a loyal hound. Is that all humans are good for now? I go where I'm needed, Eli replied evenly. Then fetch something useful, like honesty. She tilted her head. Or are your secrets too precious to share? Her meaning was sharper than her words. She was baiting him. Again. Before he could respond, Ambassador Halden's voice cut through the tension. Envoys, this way. Let's not start negotiations with insults, there'll be plenty of time for those once the doors close. The crowd moved. Viraya turned last, brushing Eli's arm with deliberate precision as she passed. His jaw tightened. Hours later, the summit dragged on behind closed doors. Eli remained at his post, posted just outside, filtering messages, scanning facial tics of every person who entered or left. Tensions simmered beneath every neutral greeting and forced smile. His instincts hummed. Something was off. Commander, came a voice behind him. Private Dren, green as grass and twice as nervous. We've got a systems anomaly in Corridor 6. Brief power dip, but local sensors picked up a field spike. Eli's spine straightened. Security breach. Could be nothing. Could be someone testing shields. He nodded. I'll check it myself. Keep eyes on the summit. Corridor 6 was quiet. Too quiet. The hum of the ship was present, but there was a tension in the air like before a storm. He drew his sidearm, moved with silent precision. Rounding the bend, he stopped short. Viraya. Alone. Standing in the flickering glow of a malfunctioning light panel. She turned slowly. Commander, she said softly, her voice now stripped of its earlier mockery. Following me? This area's restricted to diplomatic personnel. You're off protocol. And yet, here you are. She stepped closer. What are you hiding, Eli Voss? He didn't move. You need to leave. But she didn't. Instead, she stepped into his space, closer than diplomacy allowed. Her fingers rose and touched the insignia on his chest. This isn't what bothers me, she whispered. It's what's beneath it. In one motion, she grabbed his uniform and tore the upper half open. Buttons snapped. The fabric split. She froze. Between his collarbone and heart glowed a faint mark, organic and unmistakable. A Zarati bloodline crest. Royal. Rare. Her breath hitched. What is that? She demanded, voice low, dangerous. Eli stepped back, slowly buttoning what was left of his shirt. I was found on a wreckage field. 20 years ago. No survivors. Just me. No memory before that. I've never known where I came from. You bear a crest reserved for only 3 Zarati houses, she whispered, circling him like a hunter. You could be one of us. I don't care what I might be, he said, his voice like gravel. I fight for the people who raised me, who gave me purpose. Not for ghosts. Ghosts, she scoffed. You carry the blood of our empire. Perhaps even of my own house. You think this is coincidence? I think I've had enough of both empires playing God with lives. She stared at him, trying to read something in his face. But Eli gave her nothing. Then her hand rose, not to strike, but to trace the edges of the mark. For a moment, her fingers trembled. It wasn't just recognition. It was fear. Or, you shouldn't exist, she said. Tell me something I don't know. Later that night, he stood alone in his quarters, shirtless, staring at the sigil in the mirror. It glowed faintly, pulsing when he breathed. Like it was alive. Like it knew something he didn't. His comm crackled. Commander Voss. Report to Observation Deck 4. We've got movement near the shield perimeter. Possible cloaked vessel. He closed his shirt slowly, eyes still locked on the reflection. On my way. The lights above Observation Deck 4 were dimmed to half power, giving the entire room a dusky, muted blue hue. Tactical displays hovered like silent ghosts in the air, rotating data streams and ship schematics in real time. Commander Eli Voss stood at the central console, arms crossed, eyes scanning the edge of perimeter anomalies logged by the defense AI. Still nothing visual, Lieutenant Kesh reported, fingers dancing across the controls. But energy readings suggest intermittent cloaking flickers. Very low amplitude. Could be stealth drones or a passive recon vessel. Eli leaned in. Zerati tech. No, too clumsy. Cruder. Possibly homegrown. Human faction? Kesh nodded. Extremists. Or someone trying to provoke. Eli didn't respond right away. His mind wasn't just on the screens. It was on her. Lady Viraya Soluan hadn't spoken a word since tearing open his uniform and revealing the mark that never should have existed. She hadn't reported him. Not yet. And that silence was louder than any accusation. That mark, Zerati Royal Crest, bio-inked in a way no human could fake, glowed even now under his refastened uniform. It pulsed with faint warmth like it remembered something he didn't. Eli turned away from the console. Maintain watch. If anything breaches the secondary layer, I want lockdown protocol triggered without confirmation. Yes, Commander. He made his way through the empty corridors with a heavy stride, boots echoing in long steel hallways. Viraya wasn't in her quarters. Not in the diplomatic lounge. He found her where he'd expected her least, back in the same interrogation chamber from earlier. The door was half open. She stood in the middle, alone, surrounded by shadows. I should have you detained, she said without turning. You didn't. Because I don't know what you are. Eli entered, letting the door hiss closed behind him. Neither do I. She finally turned to face him. I scanned your crest. It matches a house that was thought extinguished during the Fourth Purge. No survivors. No heirs. And yet, there it is. On your skin. As alive as you are. You think I'm some kind of plant? He asked. Spy-bred and embedded for decades. I don't believe in coincidence, Voss. Well, I don't believe in destiny. So we're even. Viraya walked toward him slowly, her eyes fierce. You carry blood that could unify or ignite entire sectors. If the wrong faction finds out, they'll burn you down just to keep the truth buried. Eli's jaw tensed. Then maybe you should stop digging. I can't. Silence stretched between them. Not hostile. Heavy. I ran your DNA, she admitted. His chest tightened. You're not fully human. But you're not fully Zerati, either. You're a hybrid. A rare one. And your sequence, it's stable. That shouldn't be possible. Your kind was never meant to survive. My kind. Crossbreeds. Experiments. Failures. Her voice cracked slightly, betraying a flicker of emotion. The Empire erased every trace of those programs. The hybrids died in their cradles until now. Eli stepped forward, closer than diplomacy allowed. You don't want to accept it. But you already know. Whatever made me, came from both our worlds. That mark on my chest, it's not just blood. It's legacy. She didn't retreat. Her fingers reached for his collar again, but slower this time. Almost reverently. She peeled the shirt open, this time without force. The mark glowed faintly, veins of silver branching like a constellation from its center. I saw this once before, she whispered, touching it. On my brother. Before he was killed in a skirmish on Drexen Ridge. Eli's heart thudded. Drexen, that's where the wreck was. Where I was found. She looked up at him. Eyes wide. Lips parted. No, she said, backing away. No. That's not possible. I was pulled from a burning drop pod. No ID. No memory. Just this. He tapped the crest. Maybe I'm what your empire left behind. Maybe your brother died trying to save me. Viraya turned sharply, hiding her face. You don't understand what this means. If the empire discovers you exist, they'll destroy the alliance. They'll kill you. And me, for hiding it. Then don't report it. She faced him again. You ask me to commit treason. No. I'm asking you to give peace a chance to survive. A sudden chime broke the moment, Viraya's wrist comm flashing red. She tapped it. Soluan. A voice crackled through. Emergency alert, breach near engineering deck 3. 2 unauthorized lifeforms. Armed. One carrying an unstable energy core. Eli was already moving. That's not just a breach. That's a bomb. Viraya nodded. We're both going. They reached deck 3 in under 2 minutes. Bodies lay sprawled unconscious, alive. The assailants had moved quickly, bypassing most defenses. An explosion was imminent. Through the smoke, Eli spotted the device, cylindrical, blinking red, humming louder with each second. Beside it stood a cloaked figure, arm raised. Drop it. Eli shouted, weapon drawn. The figure turned human, scarred, eyes wild. You made peace with monsters, he shouted. But blood must have a price. The man lunged for the core. Eli fired. The blast knocked the saboteur back. Viraya dove, hands slamming onto the bombs panel. Her fingers blurred as she worked, translating code in Zarati script faster than Eli could read. Beads of sweat dotted her brow. Hurry, he said. I am, she snapped. The core's pitch climbed into a scream. Then, silence. The blinking stopped. Eli exhaled. So did she. Later, in the med bay, while their wounds were treated, Viraya sat quietly beside him. I should turn you in, she said. You still might. She didn't smile. No. I won't. Why not? She looked at his chest, now bare beneath the medical scanner. The crest was dim again, like it had gone to sleep. Because maybe you're right. Maybe your existence is what both our worlds need. She stood, composed once more. But don't mistake this for affection, Commander Voss. I'll protect your secret, but I'll be watching you. Eli nodded. I'd be disappointed if you didn't. The stars looked different through Vasari Prime's observation dome. Not because they were foreign, Eli had memorized every one of those constellations during navigation drills. But tonight, they felt heavier. Closer. Like they were pressing against the ship's hull, waiting for a choice he hadn't made yet. He stood with his palms resting on the glass, shirt discarded, letting the silence wrap around him like armor. The crest on his chest pulsed faintly in the low ambient light, still warm from the near-detonation hours before. It wasn't just a mark anymore. It was a question without an answer. Behind him, the door whispered open. He didn't need to turn. I knew you'd come, he said. Viraya didn't respond at first. She approached slowly, her steps soundless on the polished floor. She stopped beside him, hands clasped behind her back. The DNA report was conclusive, she said quietly. Your maternal markers trace back to House Soluan. A lesser branch, but still direct bloodline. My bloodline. Eli turned slightly to face her. You're saying we're family? Distantly. Biologically. She exhaled. But you were never raised as one of us. You were never shaped by our traditions, our codes. You're something else. Something between. Yes. Her eyes met his. A bridge, or a blade. He didn't answer. The silence stretched again, but this time it wasn't cold. It was full. She stepped closer. Her hand rose, hesitant now, deliberate, and touched the crest again. This was meant to identify heirs. Carried in our bones. Carved by light and blood. When you die, it will dissolve. Until then, it binds. To what? To everything we used to be. They stood there, suspended in quiet. For once, there were no orders, no masks, no factions. Just breath and skin and too many unspoken thoughts. He searched her face, sharp, regal, unreadable. But her fingers trembled slightly where they rested. "You're scared," he said. Her eyes flashed. "Of what?" "Of what it means, if I'm real." Viraya's voice dropped. "My brother believed in a future beyond bloodlines. He died for it. I mocked him. Said the Empire would never accept change. Then why are you here? Because you have his eyes." Her words caught. "And his defiance." Eli reached up slowly, touching her wrist. "You could have left this to the council. Turned me in. You didn't. Because I don't know where this ends. But I know what starts if you're exposed." She pulled her hand away, the moment breaking but not vanishing. "There's more. The saboteurs, we interrogated the one you shot. He's part of a fringe human faction, the Pure Path." Eli's brow tightened. "They think peace dilutes humanity. They believe hybridization is the enemy. They knew about your mark. They were hunting you, Eli." His blood turned to ice. "They had details on Zarati gene mapping, crest positions, even unconfirmed sightings. Someone's been leaking information from inside our diplomacy network." "How deep?" "Deep enough to get onto this ship. Deep enough to know the value of killing you and me." Hours later, in the privacy of the Arboretum, a low-gravity greenhouse rarely visited at night, they sat beneath an artificial birch tree, surrounded by silver-blue leaves that shimmered like water. It was the only place where the ship didn't feel like steel. "I don't want to lead anything," Eli muttered. "I don't want to be anyone's symbol." "You don't have a choice," Viraya replied. "People like you don't get anonymity. You get legend or execution. I'm not a legend. You're alive when you shouldn't be. That's enough." She leaned back against the tree, eyes closing briefly. Her black armor was gone, just a soft wrap now, midnight blue, revealing the green tone of her skin in the moon-filtered light. "You know," she said, voice softer, "when I first saw you, I thought you were a blunt weapon. Just another human soldier with something to prove. And now you're a mirror I didn't ask for." He looked at her. "You said I had your brother's eyes. What was his name?" "Verith. He believed in unifying the races. Thought war was born of misunderstanding. He was exiled for treason before the war even ended." Eli's voice grew quieter. "Maybe he saved me. Maybe you're here because of him." She shook her head. "Or maybe fate just has a cruel sense of humor." For a while, they didn't speak. Their proximity said enough. Neither moved to leave. "Why haven't you gone back to your people?" Eli asked finally. "I don't know what they are anymore," she replied. "The Zarati I served would have killed you the moment they saw your chest. No questions. The Viraya who enforced that would have helped them. And now," her voice barely escaped her lips, "now I hesitate." He reached out again. Not commanding, not demanding. Just a quiet gesture. His fingers brushed hers. She didn't pull away. "Not this time." "You still think I'm a threat?" he asked. Her answer was almost a whisper. "Yes. But not to the Empire." By the time she left, the artificial dawn was breaking across the dome. Eli stood alone again, staring at his reflection in the glass, shirtless, the crest aglow. But something inside had shifted. He wasn't just caught between two worlds. He was the space in between. The alert hit like a thunderclap. Eli bolted upright from his bunk as red emergency lights bathed the walls in warning. Vasari Prime shuddered, the vibration deep, like something massive had brushed against its hull. He was already halfway into his uniform when the shipwide comm crackled. "Security breach. Engineering deck. Explosive signature detected. Multiple intruders confirmed. All hands to lockdown." His chest tightened. Not because of the alarm, but because this was no coincidence. They were coming for him. He raced through the halls, past panicked personnel and sealed doors, descending 2 levels before the override systems kicked in and sealed his route. He bypassed them manually, overriding protocol, sweat cold on his back. The crest beneath his shirt itched, warm again, like it knew what was coming. By the time he reached engineering, smoke curled from melted bulkheads. The atmosphere reeked of scorched coolant and burning polymer. Blaster fire cracked in the distance. Then a voice. "We have him," shouted someone from the chaos. "He's here. The pure path." 3 attackers surged through the smoke, uniforms unmarked, eyes glassy with purpose. One carried a pulsing device with a charge light halfway to red. They weren't just here to kill him. They were going to take the ship with them. Eli fired first. His bolt dropped the one carrying the bomb. The device rolled across the floor, whining, blinking. He dove for it. "Hold it steady," came a sharp voice behind him. Then, a green hand reached over his shoulder, fingers dancing across the bomb's surface. Viraya. She knelt beside him without a word, her movements fast, precise. "How did you find me?" Eli asked, breath ragged. "You light up like a beacon when you're in danger." Her voice was focused. "I tracked your crest signature. It's bonded to your adrenaline levels." He blinked. "That's a thing." "It is now." "Shut up and cover me." The remaining attackers regrouped, but Eli held them back while Viraya worked the device. Her fingertips bled from splicing wires, but she didn't flinch. The bomb's pulse quickened. So did his. "Almost there," she muttered. "Almost's not good enough." "Then distract them better." Eli fired again, dropping the last 2 as she yanked a power line and twisted it against a backup coil. The device let out a shriek, then stopped. "Dead." Viraya slumped back, hands trembling. "That was too close." "You think," he said, helping her up. She didn't let go of his hand. Hours later, the council chamber stood silent. Debris had been cleared, but tension still crackled in the air like ozone. Eli stood at the center, shirt unfastened by choice, the crest over his heart exposed to every representative seated in the room. It shimmered faintly under the chamber lights, impossible to ignore. Councillor Halden spoke first. "Commander Voss. Do you understand the implications of what you've just revealed?" "I do," Eli said firmly. "And I don't care." Murmurs rippled across the assembly. "I was raised human. I served in your wars. I lost friends on both sides. But I never knew where I came from until now." Viraya stood beside him, arms crossed. "The pure path tried to kill us both," she said. "To stop peace. Not because of what he is, but because of what he represents. A hybrid," spat one elder from the Zarati line. "An abomination." "Or," Viraya cut in sharply, "an answer." She stepped forward. "We've clung to the myth of purity for too long. Eli's existence proves there is a path forward. One that doesn't end in extinction. One that neither side expected. Are you suggesting he be allowed to represent both species?" Another delegate challenged. "I'm suggesting," Viraya said coldly, "that trying to kill him has only made him stronger. And if he dies, so does this fragile alliance." The chamber fell silent again. Eli could feel 1,000 eyes on his chest. Then Halden spoke. "Let the record show, Commander Eli Voss is not to be detained, censored, or removed. His existence is protected under the new Unity Accords." Later, in the Botanical Dome, far from the noise of history being rewritten, Eli and Viraya sat beneath the same tree they had before. This time, he reached first. She leaned into him, head resting lightly against his shoulder. Her armor was gone, replaced by something soft. The fighter in her still existed, but tonight, she wasn't at war. Neither was he. "I thought you'd leave," Eli murmured. "When this was done." "I still might," she whispered. "But not tonight." His hand brushed over the crest on his chest. "I used to hate this thing. And now, I think it saved me." She smiled faintly. "You're not just between two worlds anymore, Eli. You're part of both." He kissed her, not rushed or desperate. Just quiet, sure. Like they had finally stopped running. When they parted, she looked into his eyes. "Your name may start wars. Or end them." A pause. Then, "I prefer the second one." In the days that followed, new policies formed. The Unity Accords held. A mixed delegation was founded. Cross-blood diplomacy began. For the first time in living memory, two species talked not about survival but about what they could build. Eli declined a political seat. He had no interest in becoming a figurehead. Instead, he stayed on Vasari Prime, where peace still needed defending. And Viraya stayed too. They didn't put a name to what they had. They didn't need one. But sometimes, when she touched the mark on his chest, she smiled with something almost like hope. Final line. They tried to destroy what he was, without realizing he was what they needed most. Not a soldier. Not a traitor. But a bridge. Marked not by blood, but by fire.